So last week I gave a assignment, right? Hope you have completed it. Anything you need to clarify? Do you need any discussion on this? Are you okay with the content? I'm going through these questions. It's a very straightforward assignment, and I wanted to go through whatever the areas we have completed, and uh, my expectation was you to practice the theoretical aspect relating to audit and assurance. It's a very tricky subject. Uh, you need to have sharp knowledge to answer this type of questions. Right? So then it was consistently 20 questions. We are going one by one. First one, all items in the portfolio can be tested by an external auditor according to the risk. Okay. Agree or disagree? Agree or disagree? So this agree. All the items can be tested based on the risk. The sample can be the portfolio. That should be practical, right? Let's say in an audit, uh, let's say we are going to audit this property, plant and equipment. During the period, there are two additions. Two lands were purchased during the period. Two lands are key items, very material to the government. So then, these two items can be the sample. Two items should be tested because two items, two incidents, two activities are key item for the year. Right? Auditors should perform audit procedure to verify all the account balances in the statutory engagement. Disagree. We don't want to verify all the account balances, right? We are verifying only significant accounts and significant disclosures. You have to select that, right? The auditor should always select sample on random basis. Sample on random basis, no. We can use different bases. Monitoring and sampling, different bases are there. Right? The details of audit team members should be included in the letter of engagement for an assurance engagement. Disagree. The members' details no need to include, right? The letter of engagement is a key document in audit engagement that can be used in the overall audit process. Yes. Right. This letter of engagement is a key document we are preparing at the planning stage, but it's relevant for the whole audit process, right? The auditor used walkthrough test results for the risk assessment of risk assessment at a planning stage of the statutory audit. Yes. The walkthrough test is a key activity we are performing at the planning stage to do the risk assessment. Basically, the control risk will be evaluated based on the results from the walkthrough test. Right. Right. So, question number 7. The auditor must test operating effectiveness of critical controls in statutory audit engagement. No. This is the word we need to focus. Must. It's an option. Operating effectiveness of the control focus about TOC. TOC will be done based on the audit approach. Sometimes you are not going to do TOC. Right? We are going to do direct substantive procedures. Some instance. If it is so, we are not going to test operating effectiveness of the controls. Right? In the controls, we have 3 areas. I think you know that, right? Control, we have 3 stages. What are they? Design, implementation, and operation. Design and implementation will be tested through walkthrough test. Right? Operation will be tested through POC. POC is an option. This is an option. It should be decided based on the audit approach. Audit approach will be fully substantive or reliant control. If you are going with reliant control only, you are going to do POC. Here we are not going to do POC. It's a basic knowledge you have. I don't think that this is new for you. This has been already discussed several times. Make up the pattern given part. So in part මේක දන්නේ නැත්නම් වා දැන් ඉතල බලන්න ඕන කන්දමක් කරන්නේ කොහොමද ඉන්නේ මම උදාහරණ ගන්න තියෙන්නේ first day onwards we are discussing over this first day තමයි කිව්වේ POC කියන option කියලා දාලා style එකක් දාගන්න කියලා නේද ඒක කිව්වනේ style එක දාලා ඊට පස්සේ discuss කරලා දැන් අපි keep on we are discussing this දැන් audit series එකේ වෙනකොට මේක 150 වෙනි පාරක් විතර කියන්නේ. ඒත් බැරි නම් මේක. එක එක විදිහට කතා කරන්න. So then here I know this type of a chart. Different ways I'm using to discuss this. The point is you need to understand and you need to have kind of a proper understanding of the process, right? Okay. And then all the identified audit findings should be included in the audit report under key audit matters. It is not. Identified findings, all findings we don't need to mention. The key audit matters are not findings, right? The auditor should ensure the validity of going concern assumption used by the management to prepare the financial statement in statutory audit. Yes, auditor should ensure the going concern assumption. Auditor should perform separate audit procedures to ensure the going concern assumption. That's correct. If there is a threat to independence, the auditor should reject the relevant engagement. If there is a threat to independence, the auditor should reject the engagement. No. So that we can use safeguards, right? We can use safeguards to face to this threat. If there is a significant misstatement or scope limitation, the auditor can qualify his opinion. Yes. Only significant misstatement or scope limitation. If that misstatement or scope limitation significant plus pervasive, the outcome may be different. The identified scores should cover all the significant accounts and disclosures. Yes, agree. The audit partner should review all the audit working papers and sign off. No need. Right? The auditor can reduce rejection risk by using audit experts. Right, agree. The auditor can include multiple audit opinions in one audit report. Yes. First day, once we are discussing audit report, I went through audit report and I show you all different audit opinions are there in one audit report. Right? Statutory opinion, and then a main audit opinion, and then opinion or comment relating to the other information. So then all those opinions are included in same report, right? Calculated material level should be revisited in different stage of the statutory audit. Yes. The auditor usually issue high level assurance for prospective financial statement. No. For prospective financial statement, we are issuing normally a low level assurance. Auditors only use profit basis for materiality calculation of general audit. This is wrong because we are using different basis: profit, activity, capital, different basis, right? Auditor always rely on internal audit evidence rather than external audit evidence. This is wrong. Auditor always rely on external audit evidence, not internal audit evidence. What are the internal audit evidence and external audit evidence? In a company, we can get audit evidence for transactions, right? So internally, we can collect some evidence, and externally, we can collect some evidence. Example, for the inventory verification or PP verification, we can get inventory schedule or reconciliation or system report from the organization. Right? That's an internal evidence. For bank accounts, bank reconciliation, what is that? It's internal evidence, internally prepared evidence. How about the bank statement and bank confirmation? It is received from externally, right? So then, how about comfort, the trust upon this evidence? What's the strong audit evidence? External or internal? External one, right? You can trust upon external one rather depending on the internal one. Why? The internal one internal was prepared by the management. So then management is the responsible party for the financial statement as well. They can change these things for their favor. So then what we have to do is we can use those information, but we need to rely on the external evidence. If that is a risk area, especially a risk area, you can't depend on internal evidence. You need to get external evidence as well, right? Uh, the auditor can reduce documentation in hard copies to enhance the quality of audit documentation. Yes, normally we are moving out from hard copy formats, right? We are moving to virtual audits. Always we are based on the e-audits, and we are not going to use hard copy files, and keeping these hard copy documents are very rare. So that purely depend on the e-format. If it is so, it enhances the quality of audit documentation. Right? So those are the areas. I hope that you have done it, and now you have a clear understanding about each and every area. Right. So your friends are not available still, right? You are new to the this place, right? You are in the lecture? I can't remember. You are in there. 17. No. It's good. Anything. Let us have the time. That is another time. What is mistake? At the exam 17. Already there are 80, then 89. We discussed about last week assignment, already discussed. Now we are moving to the syllabus content. Now we are discussing about planning activities here. Planning and risk assessment, right? Planning and risk assessment. Last week we had a detailed discussion about from last week, one week before last. That's about planning materials. Planning materials. Planning materiality is a very critical aspect. Critical aspect. You need to understand. Actually, don't want to get kind of a definition type, theoretical aspect. You have to look at this kind of with a kind of a practical angle. Why we need to calculate material levels? How we are going to calculate it? Because we once you are calculating material levels, it may vary with the audit requirement. The auditor to auditor, audit firm to audit firm. This amount, this basis, this benchmark may be varying. Right? There's no exact basis for particular company. That's purely the auditor's judgment based on the risk. If it is so, it's very difficult task in audit engagement. The calculating material levels. As we discussed, material levels is required because we are issuing a audit opinion, not a certificate. Right? It's the assurance engagement. Because of that, we don't need to test. We don't need to test 100%. We just want to get the comfort to issue the opinion. To issue the opinion to get the comfort, we need to have a kind of a maturity level to select samples, to decide on the procedures, and then decide maturity levels, and then identify key items and audit qualification, issuing the audit opinion. All those things depend on kind of a criteria, kind of a benchmark. To benchmark, to do selections, to conclude things, to identify the material, the significant, we need to have a maturity level. So the maturity level always depend on the expectation and perspective of the stakeholders. The other thing what we are having perspective and expectation of the stakeholders. Why? මේක කතා කරන්නේ මට මතකයි ඉංග්‍රීසියෙන් කතා කරා. We have already discussed this. This here we have mentioned 3 different bases for material calculation. So then we discuss this here. Perspective and expectation of users of financial statements. So the A අපි මේක බේස් කරගන්නේ material level calculation. Perspective and expectation. The reason. So then here auditor, right? Management prepare the financials, and then auditor here to add audit opinion. So the overall, we can say that audited financial statements. Right? This is the equation. These audited financial statements will be used by stakeholders. Stakeholders represent whom? Shareholders, banks, creditors, employees, tax department, and who else? Researchers, and then yeah. So different stakeholders are regulated. Different stakeholders are there to use financial statements, audited financial statements. So then once they are using this financial statement for different purposes, they trust upon this word, audit opinion, because they are using audited financial statement. They are paying a special attention on the audit report, who is auditor. They are giving a clear trust upon auditor. So then, once auditor issuing the audit opinion, definitely need to focus their perspective and expectation. Once he is taking decision before he is issuing the audit opinion. Before he is issuing the audit opinion, he is taking many decisions. Many decisions about what? Account balances, disclosures, sampling, audit planning, different decisions. That decisions can be divided into two. What are they? Accession level and financial statement level decisions. Decision can be two. For this accession level and financial statement level, once we are getting a decision, we need to have a kind of a benchmark, kind of a amount, kind of a criteria. That criteria we can consider that as a maturity level. Once he is calculating maturity levels, definitely he needs to focus about perspective and expectation of the stakeholders. Based on that, he has to decide the maturity basis, whether earning based, activity based, or capital based. So that is the basic understanding you should have. This was already discussed, right? It's also discussed. Any questions related to this mathematical calculation? Doubts? Anyone? No idea? Any clarification? And again, okay. Right. So then we are discussing about two different maturity levels, right? Let's see. Assessment level and financial statement level. So then what we calculated three maturity amounts. PM, PE, SAT. So there are three different maturity amounts. First one, this is the maturity level they are using for the overall financial statement level. Overall financial statement level. Financial statement level. This is the maturity level. Planning maturity. So the financial statement level means for audit opinion. Whatever the decision you are taking overall to the financial statement, you have to use PM. මේක week වගේ දැන් මේක use කරන්න කොහොමද නේද දැන් financial statements වලට impact වෙන දෙයක් ගන්නවා නම් එතන මේ මොන amount එකද බලන්න PM කියනවා. These are the amounts, right? Amounts calculated based on the what? Maturity basis. First you have to select the maturity basis. For this, what you have to do? Maturity basis එක decide කරන්න place කරගෙන. ඒ විනාඩියකට කලින් කිව්වා. what place කරගෙන. Perspective and expectation of the stakeholders. Perspective and expectation of the stakeholders. Based on this, we select the maturity basis. It may be total asset, profitability, revenue, capital, total expenses, basis. Based on that basis, we calculate three amounts. One amount for overall financial statement level, one amount for assessment level, one amount to decide the immaterial analysis. ඔයාගේ personal life එකේ ගත්තා decision making කරන්න තියෙනවා. ඒතකොට ඔයා decision making කරන්නේ කොහොමද? ඔයා මේ material level ඔයා decision ගන්න material level base කරලා තියෙන්නේ. ඔයා බලන්න ඕනේ මොකක්ද? ඔයා මොකක්ද මුලින්ම හිතන්නේ? ඔයා life එකේ ජීවත් වෙන expectation එක නේද? ඊට පස්සේ ඔයා ඒක base කරගන්නේ මොකද්ද? ඕනම දෙයක් වල base කරගන්න පුළුවන්. If you are earning money monthly, ඔයාගේ monthly salary එක depend වෙනවා මේ decision වල. monthly salary එක වෙන්න පුළුවන්. monthly තියෙන expenses ටික වෙන්න පුළුවන්. නැත්නම් you don't have kind of a permanent job. You have a kind of a wealth. There's a lot of deposit, what are family again? What a dowry comes, what a wealth they comes. You have a kind of a person coming from wealthy family, so then you have a kind of a capital. Is it from the family? That capital can be benchmark. ඒක බේස් කරලා what කියනවා decision ගන්න areas තුනක්. මොනවද areas? ඔයා එක area එකක් තියෙනවා. දැන් ඔයා නිකන් 100 rupees 100 rupees කියන එක ගණන් ගන්න නෑ වගේ. ඔයා නිකන් අවතර බේගර් කෙනෙක් හරි අවතර ඉල්ලුවොත් අපි 100ක් දෙනවා 50ක් දෙනවා. So ඒ amount එක මොකද්ද? ඒ amount එකෙන් පහළ ඔයාලට දැනෙන්නේ. 100 50 1000ක් දැනෙනවා නේද? 1000 ටිකක් දැනෙනවා. එතකොට ඔයාලට 1000 වෙන්න පුළුවන් transaction level එක. 100 වෙන්න පුළුවන් මේ level එක. මේකෙන් පහළ ඔය ගණන් ගන්න. අදාළ දැනවන්න. මේ 1000ක් දැන transaction level. 1000න් තමයි transaction කරන්නේ. Uber එකක් දැම්ම 1000ට අඩු වෙනවා. ඇඳුමක් ගත්තත් 1000ට ඇඳුම් දැන්නේ. අපි නිකන් කියන අලම්නේ 2000 වගේ නේ 2000 පස්සේ වා overall decision ගන්න. කරනකොට 2000 බලන්නේ නැහැ. මේ නිකන් transaction කරනවා. වා ඩිග්‍රී එකක් කරනකොට ඔයාගේ overall what impacted as a whole family what impacted is kind of a total key decisions. It will impact to your career or your whatever the plans and to the family and it will impact to your present and future. It will impact to whole of your future. So then it will be a degree, it will be a kind of a event, or key activity in your life. For that, you have a benchmark. It may be 1 million. 1 million. So, decide this decision will be taken in different stages of your life. Likewise, in audit, once you are issuing the opinion to the financial statement, this type of decision should be taken. So, for that, we have 3 different material amounts. This amount we call as SAD, summary of audit return, tribal amount. Yes, SAD nominal amount are considered clearly tribal. So then, after having, let's say, our PM 1 lakh, PE 50,000, SAD 500. This is the way we are developing these 3 different amounts. So then, after this area we consider as immaterial. Less than 500, whatever the differences, scope limitations, and type of misstatements, we consider as immaterial. Right? Immaterial. And in between, SAD amount and PE. How about this area? How about this area? That is the area we consider, but we can tolerate. We can tolerate. Up until this, we can tolerate. Tolerable living. අපිට මේ errors ටික දාන්න තියාගන්න පුළුවන්. කොතෙන්ද යන්නේ? P එක වෙනවා. That is the tolerable level. ඒක තමයි අපි කියන්නේ audit එකේදී. හරි audit finding එකක් තියෙනවා. Audit finding එකක් තියෙනවා. So then what's our response? Shall we put it to the sand? Is that material? No, this is the material. Material is the material is the एक sand එකට වඩා වැඩි. ඒකට වඩා අඩු නම් කතා කරන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. There's no argument. It's in material, but that should be checked qualitatively. Keep in mind the side, right? Keep in mind that if there's a difference less than the standard amount, that difference should be evaluated qualitatively. Let's say that difference kind of a system calculation, interest calculation. Interest calculation, once you are calculating interest with the one FD account, you are getting 5 rupee difference. 5 rupee difference. It is a system calculation, this can't be done, but it's immaterial. But by the nature, this will impact to the whole financial statement. This, if it is a system calculation, this will impact to each and every policy. So we need to evaluate the nature as well once you are deciding whether it's immaterial or not. So then that's a different story, right? It's a different story. Then sad take it apart, balance it up. Legal charges, legal charges, 250 pay. So then we are going to neglect this because it's less than sad amount. But there is a qualitative aspect of this. This legal charge may impact to the financial statement in a large scale. There may be kind of a contingent liability more than 5 million. Right? If there is a legal court case, this is the starting point you can question. Likewise, whatever the difference, you need to evaluate the qualitative aspect of that difference. Keep in mind that as well. And as I discussed, whatever the difference, this area immaterial, and above that we are put into the sand. Whatever the difference, more than sand amount, we are going to put to the sand template. To the sand key. Summary of audit differences, right? Summary of audit differences. Summary of audit differences क्या है? Key document का. एक कोई नहीं है. Summary of audit differences क्या है? मैंने key document का in audit which stage at the conclusion stage, this is a key document. Still, we have not discussed this. Summary of audit differences. Summary of audit differences. To develop this document, be based on this material level. Right? Summary of audit differences. So the audit differences, audit challenges, we have two types of audit differences. Different types of, but basically we are having two challenges once you are performing audit procedures. What are the two challenges? One of the challenges, after the audit procedures, අපිට හම් වෙන එහෙම කියන්න පුළුවන් mistakes කියන්න පුළුවන් findings කියන්න පුළුවන් challenges කියන්න පුළුවන් what could go wrong කියලා කියන්න පුළුවන් risk කියලා කියන්න මොනවද ඒවා වල දෙක we have two types of audit findings what are they මොකද කියන්න දැන් ඔබට කරලා ඉන්න බෑ අපි රියාලිටි එක හදලා පාලනය කරන්න ඕනේ. මෙහෙම පොටු හදලා දැන් මොන හරි කිව්වද? කිව්වද? කිව්වනේ. කිව්වා. මම දෙන්න එකක් කිව්වා. කිව්වේ නැත්නම් කිව්වා. එහෙම දාලා නේද? අටම නේද? කිව්වා. එකක් කිව්වා. මේක කොහෙද දෙන්නද කියලා කිව්වේ? 705 SLA US. Once you are issuing audit opinion, we are using 700 series, right? 700 series auditing standard. 705 audit modifications, right? Once you are issuing audit opinion, this is the way we are going to modify the audit opinion. Modify means not a clean opinion. We are changing our audit opinion. It may be qualified opinion or adverse or disclaimer, right? So for that we are having misstatements and scope limitations. The other two things, what are they? First one, misstatements. Second one, scope limitations. Then we දෙක දැන් මතක තියාගන්න try කරමු. අපි audit කරගෙන යනකොට අපිට misstatements හම්බ වෙනවා. Misstatements mean, as you correctly said, misstatements can be divided into fraud or mistakes, right? Misstatements. Misstatements can be fraud වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Mistake වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Fraud කියන්නේ ඉතල කරපු නැති ඒවානේ. එතන කරපු ඒවාට තමයි fraud කියන්නේ. With intentionally they are doing this misfunction or malpractice to sake of having self-interest. That's a fraud. Mistake without intention. Both are, we can say, misstatements. Misstatements, right? ගොඩාක් තියෙන පුළුවන්. ඉතින් අපිට මේකයි කියලා කියන්න බෑ. reconciliation එක වැරදි. වැරදි විදියට ලෙන්ගලා පාස් කරලා capitalize කරන්න ඕන එක expense කරලා. Different mistakes, different frauds. Mistakes. And second one, scope limitation. What do you mean by that? What do you mean? Scope limitation. What do you mean by that? Right. Whatever the area you are going to audit, we don't have any document, any evidence. We have inventory balance. Once we are requested to do inventory verification, they are not allowed you to go inside that location. They are now then they are never here. They are there. So after balance, they are telling that they have purchased one land. Right? They are requesting continuous with the deed and whatever this cash transaction document. They are postponing it. They are not providing it. Right? We can't verify it. We can't say that it's a misstatement. We don't know whether it's correct or not. To decide it, we need to have evidence. There's a scope limitation to get it. If it is so, it's a kind of a limitation to audit. Right? So then both are the areas we are going to find through audit procedures. So then, what you are going to do? Once you are having this, one type of thing, what you are going to do? You are going to cross check with what? This. What main ka hambunu gama mama මොකද කරන්නේ? one first question එකේ එනවනේ material එක කියලා බලන්න. ඒක ඔය බලනවා 500ට වඩා අඩුද කියලා. අඩු නම් අවුලක් නැහැ. එයා ડોකියුමන්ට් එකක් දෙන්නේ නැහැ. මේ පෙටි කෑෂ් අවුට් එකක්. පෙටි කෑෂ් අවුට් එකක් කියන්නේ ඒ මේ මොනවද? ටී බෑග්ස් ගෙනාවුවා. sugar purchase කරපුවා. soap වගේ ගෙනාවුවා. ඒ වවුච් එකක් නැහැ. ඔයා qualify කරන්නේ මොකද ඩොක්ටර් ඔපිනියන් එක. නෑ. කොම්පල් බලන්න. නෑනේ. ये बिल එක නැහැ තමයි. ඒ scope limitation එක but you can come prospective fertility levels. It's below SAT. You can say it's immaterial, right? So then you have a scope limitation, but above SAT, below T, below tolerable level, right? Tolerable level which impact to the stakeholders. ये tolerate करार पासे make impact වෙන්නේ නැහැ. LOLC එකේ SAT එක ගත්තොත් free will දෙකක් නැතුණත් අවුලක්. free will දෙකකට වඩා වැඩි. SAT එක. එතකොට SAT amount එක කියන්නේ කීයක්ද? මෙතන 2.5 million. free will එක ගන්න නම් මට නැහැ. 2.5 million කියන්නේ ලක්ෂ 25කට වඩා අඩු වේවා අවුලක් නැහැ. දැන් අපි ස්ටොක් කවුන්ට් එක කරන්න ගිහලා 3 wheel දෙකක් වගේ මිසින් නම් ඒක අවුලක් නැහැ. මොකද ඉම්මැටීරියල් 3 wheel දෙකක් කියන එක ස්ටේක් හෝල්ඩර්ස් දැනෙන්නවත් නැහැ වෙලෙස් එකේ. රෙගියුලේටර් දැනෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඇනලයිස් කරන කෙනෙක්ට දැනෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒකේ 1000 වලින් බැලන්ස් ෂීට් එක ඇදුවම ඒක ඩෙසිමල් එකක් විදිහට තමයි. So then based on the comparison, hello? Oh. Oh, I have that. Oh, say. Oh. Like that? Oh. Oh, wait a second. Here I am away. Right. So then, once you are having a kind of a statement in between this, you are put into here. That is called summary of the difference. You are going to mention here. There's a difference in expense. How much? 20,000. 20,000 is less than 50,000, more than 500. We are going to put to the summary of the difference. And here, debit and credit. We are putting these entries debit and credit. Right? Likewise, we may have a list of SAT items. That is called SAT items. SAT items here. අපි දැන් ඔලි ෆයිනල් එකක් හම්බුන ගමන් මොකද කරනවා කියලා කිව්වේ. You need to cross check with the fertility levels. You need to cross check with the SAT amount and the TE. SAT amount and the TE. Right? SAT amount and the TE. If it is less than SAT amount, we can consider as immaterial. More than SAT, less than TE, we are going to put to the summary of audit differences. So summary ka hadala, api මොකද කරන්නේ end of the day. This is a conclusion document. We are doing at the conclusion stage. We can discuss this in detail at the latter part of the lecture series. අපි කොහෙද දැන් ඉන්නේ? අපි ඩයග්‍රෑම් එකේ ඉන්නේ තාම. Execution එක කළා තමයි මේක කතා කරන්නේ. So then I am discussing here why the usage of materiality levels. That's why I am explaining here. So then I can repeat myself at the final lectures or in reporting lectures, right? So then end of the day, what we are going to do? Whatever the differences, we can summarize. We can summarize, and the total amount 55,000. 55,000. What it means to you? See, individual items can be tolerated, but as a whole, summary more than the P. So the summary can't be tolerated. It means that will impact to financial statement users. So then what we have to do? Then we have to discuss with the management whether we are going to qualify it or can we correct those things as soon as possible because it will impact to the audit opinion. So this is the transaction level. This is exceeded. Wah හිතාගෙන හිටියා රුපියල් 3000 තමයි මගේ transaction level එක. නේද? Uber එකක් දැම්මත් maximum 3000. ඇඳුමක් ගත්තත් maximum 3000. කොහෙන් හරි restaurant එකක කන්න ගියත් maximum 3000. That is the transaction level. Wah හිඟන්නේකට සල්ලි දෙනවා නම් බෙදලා දෙනකොට සල්ලි දෙනවා නම් මොකද්ද? වට ඒක ගාණක් නැහැ නේ. ඔයාගේ limit එක කීයද? 500. 500 නේ 100. So 100. ඇඳුමක් ගත්තා ඒ ගාණ transaction වල 3000. But මේ අතරතුර 100 and 3000 අතරතුර එනවා expenses නේද? පොඩි expenses එනවා. ඒකට 800 data card එකක් දාලා ගන්නවා නේද? ඊට පස්සේ තව හරි library එකට ගෙවනවා නම් 1500 easily taken. But these are material as a kind of accumulation, as a kind of a summation. This will increase this amount P. Then that will impact your overall decisions. Sometimes one decision, one amount, or animal can 5,000, more than the PE. But you are going to buy it. That will impact your overall decision, overall plan. I am highlighting this here. For decision making, we should have different material levels. That may be transaction level, that may be overall financial statement level. What 3,000 method and 5,000 method, what liquidated expense and installment payment and salary and away. So that will impact to the overall financial statement level, PM. Right? So then this area we consider as definitely that will impact your audit opinion. Whatever the differences, whatever the accumulated differences in between PE and PM, definitely impact your audit opinion. How about this area? There's a misstatement or scope limitation more than PM, straight away, so with qualification or modification. So that we have 4 different areas in between these 3 materiality levels. That's what I discussed here. Anyone see this? We are discussing about 3 different materiality levels: PM, PE and SAD, right? PM 5 lakhs, PE 1 lakh 500. So then here we have 5 different areas, here to here and here, here, 5 areas. Less than this area, we can say immaterial. How about this area? This area, that we can tolerate. So the less than 100, whatever the summary, let's say accumulation of the sad items, 90,000, no impact. The summary of audit differences. What you have to do is, it's a kind of a presentation at the final audit presentation. Final audit result के part एक समय sad presentation, sad items. Sad items mean as accumulation. It will not impact to the overall financial statement, but there are misstatements. But those misstatements as a bulk, as auditors, we can tolerate. සමහර වෙලාවට කියනවා debit එකක් දාන්න පුළුවන් credit එකක් දාන්න බෑ කියනවා. Saturday feel වෙලා තියෙන්නේ කියනවා people. දැන් ඔයා audit කරන වෙලාවට ඔයාට high possibility එකක් තියෙනවා ඔයා වෙන්න පුළුවන් in a large company you will be the auditee, right? Definitely you are going to face for audit, right? You are going to face to audit. At that point, once you are dealing with auditor, he is telling that, so then we can't force into the SAT because it's already filled, and we can only get the debit entries. We can only balance the volatility and credit side. Credit filled ඉවරයි, debit entry එකක් නම් ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? මේ area එකට දාලා තියෙන items fill වෙලා තියෙනවා. Amount debit credit ඇවිල්ලා is packed with the SAT. It's nearby 95,000. Now we are in the upper level. So if there's an addition for, we can put 2,500, but we can't put another 10,000. If you are putting 10,000, it will create 105. It exceeds the 100,000. So that's what you may have that experience in near future. Why the ඒක අහනකොට නිකන් බ්ලැන්ක් වෙලා වගේ ඉන්න එපා. ඔයා දැනගෙන ඉන්න. හරි. ඔයාට එතකොට මෙතනින් ඔයා මොකද්ද කියන්න ඕනේ? එම් කියුවා ඔයා මොකද්ද කියන්න ඕනේ? So then if there is a debit entry I can pass, but credit entries can't do. So then what you have to do is you should ask, what are the credit entries you have posted to the SAT? Can I know that? These are we have posted 6 credit entries. So then you have to go through this. Okay, for these 6 entries, I can remove these 2. I can correct it. So then you can provide and you can adjust and you can correct these 2. So then from the SAT, you can remove this. If it is so, you can put another debit entry for these 2 entries. SAT should be balanced. Summary of audit difference. Credit to debit, right? Total. Whether I remember that in okay, electricity වැඩිපුර report කරලා, water අඩුවෙන් report කරලා. දෙකම expenses. Debit credit කියලා යනවා. So then here we are going to summarize the ultimate impact to the financial statements, right? So then in between this SAD amount at TE, we can post into the SAD template. In between this TE and PM, audit qualification. Above PM, audit qualification. This is how we are going to treat for any statement or scope limitation once you are performing your audit procedures. To do this, we should have a materiality calculation. Through that, we should have different levels of materiality amounts. Right? That's a requirement, that's the purpose of having materiality levels and different amounts to the materiality calculation. Are you clear? I hope, right? So අපි මේ question එකක් විදිහට දැක්කොත් කොහොමද? දැන් මේ කොහොමද paper එකේ question එකක් විදිහට අහන්නේ? අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම අන්තිම ප්‍රශ්නේ මේ ප්‍රශ්න තමයි අහන්නේ. මාත් papers ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. paper එකක් දෙන්න. Question එකක් තමයි question 7. That's about audit reporting, right? What are the areas need to be considered for issue the audit opinion of FT for the year ended 31st March 2020 and suggest audit modification to the audit opinion? This is the question. What are the areas that need to be considered for issue the audit opinion of FT? FT කියන්නේ audit වචනයක් නෙවෙයි. Trading PLC කියන එක. Fintech trading කියන එක. For the year ended 31st March 2023, suggest audit modification to the opinion. What are the audit modifications you can do the audit opinion? Then you need to read the case study. Right? You are the audit manager at Access Partners, the firm of chartered accountants, and you are supposed to conclude the standard audit of fintech trading for the year ended this. FT is a leading manufacturer of household electric equipment. And the final review of the working papers was noted that Rs 5.3 million worth of non-moving items were missed. So then 5.3 million worth of non-moving items were missed. Inventory provision calculation. And management had refused to make a provision for the probable cash outflow for ongoing legal cases against the company. The company lawyers had agreed to 2.5 million probable cash outflow. The CFO of FT, Mr. Chandan Fernandez, suggests making disclosure in the financial statement rather than making a provision. As per the review of draft annual report, it was noted that there were 3 differences between financial review and the audit numbers. Financial review and the audit numbers. So there are different areas, right? So then here we are discussing about 2 different amounts. 5.3 million non-moving items are missed from the inventory provision calculation. Is that a scope limitation or mistake? First you have to decide that. That is scope limitation or a mistake or error. This one. It was noted that Rs 5.3 million worth of non-moving items. Non-moving items? Slow-moving items. So then in a company there may be inventory items you have purchased long time back. Right? Old inventory items. Non-moving inventory items are missed from inventory provision calculation. So normally for inventory provision, more than 2 years back, inventory should be provided based on the date of the item. In inventory එකේ තියෙන liquor නම් ඒකට provide කරන්න ඕනේ නේද? liquor තියෙන දෙන්න ඒකේ value එකට impact එකක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. expire වෙන්නේ නැහැ නේද? So then it depends on the nature of the inventory item. ඒක cement නම් cement එක කොහොමද? ගොඩක් කල් තියාගන්න පුළුවන්ද? බෑනේ hardware එකේ. එහෙනම් ඒක මොකද? ඒක අපි provide කරන්නේ. මොකද වෙනද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ? It was noted that 5.3 million worth of non-moving items were missed from the inventory provision calculation. ඒක මොකක්ද? statement එක ගන්න scope limitation එක. ඒක තේරෙන්නේ නැද්ද? ඒක තේරෙන්නේ නැත්නම් ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයක්. හැබැයි වාට ඔය procedures කරන final stage එකේ තමයි මේක බලන්නේ. අන්තිම ප්‍රශ්නේ කතා කරන්නේ. හැබැයි දැනට වාට තේරෙන්නේ ඕනේ. දැන් කතා කරන කන්ටෙන්ට් එක. හා? දැන් scope limitation එක ගන්න statement එක. statement එක. මේක clear right? clear factual statement එක. ඒකට අපි මේක බලලා මොකද කියන්න ඕනේ? අපිට මෙතන question එකේ නැහැ මොකද maturity levels. මම මෙතන explain කරන්න ඕනේ. According to the maturity level, so we need to check this 5.3 million is material or not. If it is material, we need to request to the management to correct. If we are not ready to correct it, definitely it will be a audit qualification. If it is significant, right? If it is significant plus pervasive, this will be the audit modification like adverse opinion. And example, so to make a mukha. Make a scope limitation එකක් නෙමෙයි. මේක මොකක්ද කියන්නේ? Management has refused to make a provision for probable cash outflow for ongoing legal fees. There is a factual legal case. Probable cash outflow is 2.5 million. They are refused to make a provision. It's also factual. Factual, and it's a intentional mistake. Statement. If it is so, again we need to evaluate this. But මේ දෙකම combine කරලා ලස්සනට ලියන්න පුළුවන්. There are two identified misstatements. One is this 5.3 million impact to the inventory provision. Other one is legal payment provision amount 2.5 million. Both should be evaluated and we cross check with the material levels, and accordingly we need to decide whether it is material or not. Likewise, you need to give the proper answer. For that, you need to have good understanding about this material levels and case study, provision amount is bit advanced, right? So the main question is answer. Give instruction to your audit senior on key conclusion documents that are supposed to be used at finalization of standard audit. Give instruction to your audit senior. So how about the key conclusion? One is summary of audit events, and audit opinion, and then summary review memorandum, and then audit result presentation. Likewise, we are having different audit conclusion documents. Audit conclusion document. That's the audit conclusion stage. Audit planning stage, we are having several documents, right? Letter of engagement and other planning documents, audit plan, audit planning memorandum. Likewise, we may have audit plan presentation. Likewise, we are having planning documents. These are the conclusion documents. I hope you are clear. So then this is how it will impact the relevant for your exam. Here again we have a question. Mention the reasons of preparing summary of audit differences in the standard audit. I make a collectively, with opinion, in fact, we are preparing summary of audit differences to evaluate the overall impact, collective impact of each and every findings and statements and scope limitation which is identified less than DE, more than SAT. That's the purpose of having this. How about this? What are the different bases that can be used to material calculation? Easy, right? Activity, profit, capital. Earning basis, capital basis, activity basis. So then if you are comfortable with this knowledge aspects, it's very easy to face the exam. But if you are not comfortable, you are just passing the lectures and the sake of coming to the lecture, if you are coming, it will maybe be very difficult. කතා කරන දේවල් හොඳට ඔළුවේ තියෙන්න හැමදේම. Then only you can approach to this exam. අදත් තියෙන පේපර් එක ගොඩක් අමාරුයි. මේ වගේම පේපර් එකක්. ඒක මම අද දෙන්න බෑ තාම එක්සෑම් තියෙනවා. අවසන් දෙන්න ගන්න. හෙට වගේ වань. You can read that paper as well. So then you are having more papers. Exam papers එන්නට කොහොමද වෙන්නේ? එන්නේ අමාරු වෙන එක තමයි වෙන්නේ. එන්න අමාරු. දැන් එන්න වැඩ කරන්න වැඩි වෙනවා. දැන් මේ මුල් පේපර් එකක් අද පොඩි දේවල් තියෙනවා. මොනවද බලන්න තියෙන්නේ? Mention core components of assurance engagement. Grade 2, right? Core component of assurance engagement. Tri-party relationship, the criteria range, and there should be opinion, evidence, and then subject matter. These are the areas, right? What are the sources of evidence of risk assessment of standard audit? Once you are doing risk assessment, what are sources? Walk through, understand the business, kind of initial discussions. Those are the sources of information. Mention specific accession related to significant matters in statement of financial position. What are the accessions? Easy, right? Existence, valuation, completeness, likewise. Who is responsible for establishing effective control environment to the management organization? Take a look at the answer. It's not an edit. The වචනේ එන්නේ. බය වෙලා බලන්න එපා. ප්‍රශ්නයක් කතා කරන්න. මේ ප්‍රශ්නෙට උත්තරේ වචනේ. මොකද? How is the responsible? Control environment is established responsible of the management board of directors. Management whatever the relevant answer. Right. So then whatever the areas we are discussing here always can be tested in the exam. That is the art of, that's the beauty of auditing. Each and everything will be tested in the exam. කතා කරන හැම දෙයකම exam එකේ tested. These are not missing. They are missing something. annual impact. දැන් මෙතන කතා කරපු සේරම අර පේපරේ ඩිස්කස් කරලා තිබුණා නේ. සේරම ඩිස්කස් කරලා තිබුණා. මේ knowledge එක නැත්නම් ඔයාලට කරන්න බෑ. The maturity levels, maturity basis. Then you need to have this knowledge to compare like 2.5 million and 5.6 million with this SAD and DE, PA. And there was a separate question relating to this basis, different basis, right? Likewise, you should have proper knowledge to give proper answer. Okay. And then here we have summarized here. These are the risks, these are the risks, these are the responses. These are the basic responses, right? This is the area you are going to focus once you are doing execution. The risk we assess, these are the steps we are supposed to perform. That's about test of control, substantive procedures, other general audit procedures, VA testing. Test of controls is not a must. It's option, right? Substantive procedure is a must. For each and every significant account disclosure, we need to perform substantive procedures. But test of controls is based on the audit approach. It's based on the audit approach. Right. So the audit procedures basically can be divided into in audit engagement. We have three different stages, right? Planning, planning and risk assessment, execution, conclusion. When we stages තුනේ තමයි අපි ඉන්නේ. ඒක අලුත්යක්ද මේ කිව්වේ? දැන් මේක මුල්ම දවස් තමයි කතා කරන්නේ. ඊට දෙකේ ඉතින් කතා කරේ. So then we discuss this and we link this with the audit syllabus. We have 7 topics. We link with this 3 pillars. Right? So now we are in planning and risk assessment. We are supposed to go to execution. Right? Then conclusion. Then we discuss කලින් මෙන්න මේව කතා කරන්නේ මේකේ කතා කරන්නේ තමයි කතා කරන්නේ. Audit conclusion. This is all about audit conclusion. Achieving the audit topic, right? මේක විතරක් මම දැන් කතා කරන්නේ මේ ඉඳලා වචනයක් කතා කරන්නේ කියලා කතා කරන්න බෑ ඔතේ. So then once you are planning, you need to discuss about something about execution as well as conclusion. And the planning is said to calculate the maturity levels. Once you are discussing maturity levels, we need to discuss the usage of that. So the usage may impact the execution as well as the conclusion. Maturity levels may get a published here. So then we need to discuss it. So then once you are going through this two pillars, definitely you are in different stage. You need to use these maturity levels, and all those concepts should be used. We already discussed under planning stage. That's the basic understanding you should have. What are the risk aspects, accession level risk, all those things should be discussed again and again. Matter is, you need to have a proper link between each and every concept. A link එක නැත්නම් මම හැමදාම blank වෙලා වගේ වචන ටිකක් ඉගෙන ගන්නවා. ඒ මොකක්ද ප්‍රොබ්ලම්. ඒ කියන්නේ lecture ආවේ නැත්නම් එන්නේ නැත්නම් ඔයාලට හැමදාම වචන load එකක් set වෙනවා. link එකක් නැහැ. ඒ මොකද? It's a serious issue, right? End of the day, once you are thinking about audit paper, it's different set of concept and words. You don't have any link in between each and every section. But if you can learn this as kind of a one subject, it's very easy. So it's a given A pass, right? So the execution you are basically execute what? Audit procedures. Audit procedures can be divided into basically substantive procedures and TOC. Right? Substantive procedures can be divided into two: ARP and TOD. ARP and TOD. In other words, PSP and OSP. Analytical review procedures and test of details. Substantive procedures. Primary substantive procedures and other substantive procedures. Substantive procedures, right? POC we can't divide. This is a option. Other than this, we have two different aspects. What are they? One is JE testing and other general audit procedures. So the main thing is audit procedures, substantive POC and substantive procedures, and then other general audit procedures and ASA. Other general audit procedures mean other than these two, we need to check board minutes, post balance sheet events, going concern evaluation, regulatory related aspects to the company. Other general audit procedures should be done. Right. General audit procedures means in a whatever the statutory audit, this basic steps should be done. Board minutes and post balance sheet event and related regulatory requirements to the organization need to check. Likewise, other general audit procedures and JE testing is another requirement, standard requirement. JE testing should be performed by the auditor. During the period, journal entries should be evaluated and need to identify unusual journal entries and need to inquire and clarify the inquiries. Any specific area you are going to identify should be clarified through discussions or evidence through the AE testing. For AE testing, auditors using different technical aspects, data analytics. They are using different techniques for AE testing. the GE testing, right? You can do uh, day analysis, day analysis, weekend analysis, prepare map analysis, gross margin analysis. Different analytics are there. How they can run? So, JE testing karadi or balna increased class at the weekends. Weekends normally company is a holiday, right? Let's say 4 days. 4 days they have passed some of the entries. So the 4 days, if they are having kind of holiday, so then who is going to pass these table entries? Suspects, right? It's doubtful. So then we can go through these things. What are these type of entries? And then through journal entry description, we are searching. Uh, we are searching like this type of word. Uh, correction, correction, and fraud, and then uh, what else? Adjustment, not adjustment. Different words we can take. Uh, these are the words we are searching through the journal entry bar. Within a year, we have millions of entries, right? Automated entries, manual entries, different entries. Through these entries, we have description. We are searching some keywords. We can call it keywords. So then through these keywords, doubtful keywords. So then all those can based on, you can based on these keywords, and you can identify what are the entries related to these keywords. So then correction, once you are running this report, you may have 90 journal entries. So then you can check what are the corrections they have done. Doubtful, right? And fraud. Fraud means the fraud word was there for 2 journal entries. So then there was a fraud and they have corrected it. So then you can identify through this JE and analyze it. Likewise, you can decide related party, right? And then entertainment. What are the entertainment expenses? Uh, over provision can also take that. So then you can decide what are the keywords you are going to check. Accordingly, you can identify some of the critical misstatements. මම මේකෙදි identify කරන්න තියෙන එක amount එක balance sheet එක 6 billion company 6 billion balance sheet එක they have passed 230 billion entry 230 billion entry එකක් pass කරලා ඊට පස්සේ දවසේම reverse කරලා ඒක check උනේ amount එකෙන් search 230 billion. So then total balance sheet also 6 billion. So then how they can pass this type of entry to the TV, right? It's really vague, very doubtful. So then he went to the transaction and how they pass this entry. Are there any approval process? So then once they are going through the process, what they have done is with 1 million transaction, they have tied the date with the amount 2024 first and 24. Date එකත් එක්ක amount එක field එකේ ගහලා තමයි pass කරන්නේ. So the amount එක 1 million, date එකේ තියෙන numbers එක දුන්නාම billion ගන්න. ඒ entry එක pass කරනවා. So then this type of mistakes can't be happen in a financial reporting process. They have corrected, but it was passed, and that can be appear in a quarterly financial statement. If they pass that in a quarter end, that will be corrected in the next quarter, right? So then this type of things should be blocked, stopped before they are passing. They should have kind of a application controls. More than 6 billion entries can't be passed. Your balance sheet emphasizes everything. So then there should be proper controls. For those things, what you have to do is you have to do change testing. That's very important. We'll discuss this, how we are going to do this, what are the testing we can do, where we are going to discuss this. We have a different area called digitalized auditing, audit digitalization. Under that, data analytics is a key part. Under that, we are discussing this, right? Likewise, these are the basic execution procedure. So this execution procedure should address the risk assessed under the planning stage. What are the risks? What are the risks? That's all about audit risk. Audit risk consists with detection risk, control risk, and inherent risk. Detection risk, control risk, and inherent risk. These three risks should be addressed through this four procedures. That's all about audit, right? End of the day, after performing this, you are ending with this type of two challenges. You are going to face mistakes and scope limitations. After summarizing all those things, with this maturity levels, you are going to conclude the audit. That will be discussed after another 5 lectures, right? So recurrently surprise line paper, that are not audited, right? Now we are going through this process. Right. Wait for the that's the beginning of the අපි 11 වෙනකම් කරමු. 12 අපි එහෙනම් සකාල බ්‍රේක් එක කරගෙන අද අපි මේ සෙට් එක ඉවර කරන්න. Today I am going to complete planning and risk assessment. Put it done. So then we are done with area 1 and area 2. Area 1, control framework, that's all about controls. And area 2, planning and risk assessment. Planning, we had detailed discussion about planning activities with team members, all those things done. Activity calculation, we are going to complete this and then we can start execution. Right? And then conclusion. Tagara, break එක කරගෙන you can get a small break like 5 to 10 minutes, come back quickly so that we can discuss the rest. Okay. Right. තමයි තාමත් ප්‍රශ්නවලට උත්තර අහනවා. දැන් 12ට එක්සෑම් දෙන්නේ. තාමත් කන්සර්න් දෙන්න. So under planning and risk assessment, after this slide, I have included here the areas need to be focused, right? Some other special areas. One area is, as auditor, what we can do is, we can get support from internal expert as well as external expert support for audit purpose. That's the area we need to focus. At the planning stage, we need to decide whether we are going to get expert support. Expert support is the area which is covered through special audit standard. Special auditing standard is there. It's AS 620. That's all about what? Auditors expert support for the audit process. How we are going to get expert support, and what are the things we can get from their side? What are the protocols? What are the procedures? Need to be focused. Need to be planned at the initial stage. That always based on the risk. For a small audit, we don't want the expert support, right? Why we need the experts? Basically, whatever the area, whatever the in general terms, we are using expert, we are lacking in some knowledge, right? We need IT expert for IT field, tax expert, valuation expert, right? So then, as an auditor, as audit partner, he is not a kind of a god, right? God having 12 hands and all, so that he is not a genius person having all the knowledge, all the standard knowledge and all, right? So he is also a human being having specialized knowledge, and some of the things need to be updated, and some expert support may be required for ultimate decision. So then audit team can decide whether they are going to get expert support. Whatever the area lacking with the knowledge. Sometimes it may be actuarial area, sometimes IT, sometimes related valuation related area. You are. ඒක විතරයි බොන්නේ. ඊ බොන්නේම නැහැ. ඒක ඉතින් එකක් ඉන්න බිව්වා. දැයි තියෙන්නේ. Audit experts can be added to the audit team according to the requirement, and that depends on the complexity of the audit. Complexity of the audit and the expert team we are using as the audit team. If we are having a kind of qualified person in the audit team, particular to that expert area, we don't need to get expert support. Then expert support will be required as an equation of the complexity of the audit and the audit team competence. Right? Both aspects will be factored to decide this. Audit team knowledge and experience, right? And then the complexity of the audit. Both will impact to get the expert support. Once you are getting expert support, what are the things you need to be considered? What are the areas need to be considered? Once you are appointing an expert, what are the areas need to be considered? That may be internal expert or external expert. Internal expert or external expert. Internal means from the audit firm we can use the internal expert. In the audit firm level we don't have. We are appointing external expert. The key things, once you are appointing expert, what you have to do is you need to evaluate this experience. Experience and experience and qualification. Experience and qualification is a must. And then second, independence. Independence. Third, capacity. Experience, qualification, independence, and the capacity. capacity. These are the key things we need to focus. So then, some instance, we are having very experienced qualified people, but they are having a direct relationship with the company. Can we appoint an expert which has direct relationship shares in the company, or some critical relationship with the directors? Director කෙනෙක්ගේ spouse කෙනෙක්, husband කෙනෙක් හරි wife කෙනෙක් හරි appoint කරන independent expert කෙනෙක්. So then they may bias with the decision, right? So the independence is a very critical aspect. Is to deliver that expert knowledge, he has to be very independent from the organization. And then the capacity. You know that always that good expert having list of requirements, commitments. So then he has to have kind of a proper capacity to deliver that service. Otherwise, it will get delayed to get that service. So then it will impact to the audit opinion. So then the capacity is a must. එයාට ඉන්නේ staff 10 දෙනෙක්. දැනටමත් engagement 400ක් විතර තියෙනවා. Can we appoint him as a audit expert? We can't get the service on time. So then these are the things we need to consider once we are appointing an expert. And then what are the areas? What are the areas? It may be complex area, IT, tax, valuation, actuarial calculation, biological asset valuation. These are the areas, gratuity calculation, right? Hedge evaluation. So these are the expert areas we can appoint external or internal experts. And then once you are appointing an expert, definitely you can reduce your detection risk. Detection risk. You can reduce your detection risk. But you need to have, as an audit partner, audit team, you need to have proper communication between external expert and the audit team. You should have proper engagement letter with them. And we are responsible to get the delivery from them. And critical thing is you can't deviate your responsibility to the expert. You can't transfer your responsibility to the expert. Ultimate responsibility of the audit opinion with you. Right? You can't refer expert support from your audit opinion. Right? So then ultimate responsibility of the audit opinion with you. Having an expert in your audit team, you can't deviate, you can't, simply you can't pass the ball to the expert. You can't say that according to the expert knowledge, we are giving this opinion. We don't have any idea about the financial statement. As per the expert opinion, we are also comfortable with the financial statement. You can't say that. You are responsible for the expert result, and you need to understand that conclusion. And accordingly, you have to give your audit opinion. Simply having an expert in your audit team, you can't deviate from your responsibility. You can't refer that from your audit opinion. In your audit documentation, you can refer the audit conclusion and the discussion had with the expert and calculation, the data given to the expert. All those things can be evaluated. And then other thing is, once you are getting the expert conclusion memo or result, you need to validate that as well, whatever the inputs they have used, right? So then to expert calculation, they have to get inputs from the management. That inputs should be validated by the audit team, whether they have given correct input. once these experts giving their memo or report, they giving kind of a restriction clause. What is the restriction clause? They are not liable to validate the data given by the management. They have done the expert service, valuation, or accurate calculation, or tax calculation according to the data given by the management. That data accuracy should be tested by the audit team. Right? So my message is what? So then, if you are getting support from expert, as auditor, you can't silent. You can't reduce your responsibility. Your responsibility is same to choose audit opinion, but you can reduce your detection risk having an expert in your audit team. Keep in mind that. So that's all about audit experts. So then all the things discussed: who is audit expert, how we are going to appoint, what are the areas, how we can prepare, how we can deviate, how we can manage your responsibility. That's all about it. Now you can read 620 auditing standard using audit expert. Having this understanding, you can start reading. The standard says different aspects, different areas. Right? Right. Expert appoint කරනකොට ඔය ප්‍රශ්න තුනනේ අහන්නේ. Expert කෙනෙක් appoint කරන්නේ what are the areas need to be considered, right? So then that's the answer. So what are the areas you have to get expert support? Those are the areas. So then once you are getting expert support, what are the implications of audit opinion? That's the right answer. That's it. Likewise, complete it. Finish it. About expert, that's it. So likewise, each and every area, prepare some questions and complete it. So that's the way I did for my studies. Not short note, not a notebook there. We have to say, it's a notebook. That's good. Because not running, lecture university studies. Slide taking a target. This slide taking in the program partner is zero here. And the program partner area partner here. What are the considerations once you are appointing to an expert? The question to the year. People learn. Partner year, partner year. I'm going to partner year. So slide taking is a college. So what are the possible questions from this slide? A slide is maximum 20 other. So maximum 20 questions තමයි අහන්නේ. ඔය question ටිකම page එකේ ගියාම තියෙනවා. ඉතිහාසයට අරින්න බෑ. possible හැම question එකක්ම හදනවා. ඒකට ඒක මාර successful. ඉතින් මට ලොකු right එක පාඩම් කරන්න හම්බෙන්නේ. ඒකට ලියලි එක ටිකක් හම්බෙන්නේ. අර ප්‍රශ්න ටික exam එක පිට වෙනකොට ටික බලන්න. බලන සමහර ඉතින් කියාගෙන ඉන්න ආයි බලන්න. ආයි පොඩ්ඩක් ලියනවා ඒ ප්‍රශ්න ලියලා. ඒක මාර කොම්ෆර්ටබල්. exam එකට යන්න කලින් ප්‍රශ්න ටික ගන්න. ඉන්න පුළුවන් maximum question lecture. Okay. කොම්ෆර්ටබල් කොහොමද? ඒක යාළුවෙක් කරපො හරි මේ ආන්නේ මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ දෙන්නේ. ඒක අර ප්‍රශ්නේ exam paper එක යනකොට ලින්ක් වෙනවා ප්‍රශ්නේ. Very easy to answer. That's the way I did. But it may be very fewer requirements. You may be a person having short notes and long notes and then kind of a highlight or something like that. You know what? Very cool. The pattern may use the pattern. Like ultimately, the thought process, thinking pattern, as a human being, the memory reacts the same way. But pyramid is another thing. But a part මොකද දුන්නද ඔයාලට? එක පාට ඔයාලට මුළු සිලබස් එකම මතක් කරන්න බෑ. අර සිලබස් එකම මතක් කරන්න බෑ. That's biological. එතකොට තමයි ස්ට්‍රෙස් වෙලා ડિප්‍රෙෂන් වෙන්නේ. මොකද පොඩි සිලබස් එකම එකපාර මතක් කරනවා. You can every step මතක් කරනවා. එහෙම බෑ. ඔයා කොහොමද මතක් කරන්න ඕන? ඔයා මතක් කරන්න ඕන pyramid type එකේ. Then only you can start the vibrate your brain, and then you can get out from your brain what are the key things. දැන් ඔයාට ගෙදරින් එනකොට කියනවා අවට්ටම් කියන්නේ නේ. මැරි කරපු කට්ටියට කියනවා මෙන්න මේව අරන් එන්න කියලා ගෙදර. නේද? මොනවද එනකොට උදේ කියනවා අවසට ආල් අරන් එන්න. ආල් ගේන්න කියනවා. පානු ගේන්න කියනවා. ඊට පස්සේ පැනඩෝලු ගේන්න කියනවා. දෙහි නෑ දෙහි ගේන්න කියනවා. and then මොනවා හරි බිස්කට්ස් ගේන්න කියනවා. ඊට පස්සේ කියනවා හරි මේ exercise books මොනවා හරි stationery items ගේන්න කියනවා. තව පාරක් කියනවා soap නේ soap ගේන්නත් කියනවා. පස්සේ දැන් මොකද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ? දැන් ඔයාලට තියෙන බඩු ලිස්ට් එකක් නේ. බඩු ලිස්ට් එකක් තියෙනවා. දැන් ඔයාලා ලිස්ට් එකේ ඉන්න ගමන බඩු ලිස්ට් එක මතක් කර කර තමයි ඉන්න වෙන්නේ. දැන් ඔයාලා එහෙම නේ කරන්නේ. බස් එකේ එන ගමන බඩු ලිස්ට් එක මතක් කරනවා. එහෙම නෙවෙයි කොහොමද කරන්නේ? What you have to do? If you have a list, detailed list of items to memorize, then what you know? Audit a detailed list එකක් නේද? මොනවද list එකේ තියෙන්නේ? Expert තියෙනවා, substandard procedures, TOC, detection risk, audit planning, walkthrough, and design effectiveness, implementation effectiveness, audit appointment, LOE, LOR, maturity level, SAT, TE, different words. So අර වගේ food city එකේම වගේ බඩු තියෙනවනේ. මතක් කරගන්න. දැන් ඕක එක තැන දාගෙන සේරම මතක් කරගෙන හිටියොත් කොහොමද? එකක්වත් මතක් වෙන්නේ. දෙක එක කරන්න වෙන්නේ නැහැ. බස් එකේ ඉන්න වෙන්නේ නැහැ නේද? බස් එකේ එනකොට එක්සෑම් වෙන දවසට ළමයි දෙතුන් දෙනෙක්ගේ ෆර්ස්ට් ලැප්ටොප් සේරම මිසින්. ඇයි? හොරා දන්නවා අද එක්සෑම් තියෙනවා කියලා. බස් එකේ නගිනකොටම තේරෙනවා හොරාට මේ අද එක්සෑම් ලියන්න වෙන ළමයි. එහෙමද? ඔව්. ඇයි මොකද ඔයා කරන්නේ? බස් ස්ටෑන්ඩ් එකේ තුවා කොල්ලේ බලපෑලේ. බලපෑලේ ඉන්නේ මේ පාඩම් කල්පනා කරන මේක හොරා දන්නවා අද එක්සෑම්. අද එක්සෑම් කියලා හොරා බස් එකට නැගිටලා මොකද කරන්නේ? ඔයාගේ බෑග් එක ඇතුළට බහලා ඔළුව දාලා සේරම අරගෙන ගියත් ඔයා එක්සෑම් එකේ සීලින් අර සේරම මතක් කර කර තමයි එහෙම කරන්නේ So there you have a kind of a plan, right? Basic plan. What the list එකක් තියෙනවනේ නේද? වාට ගේන්න කිව්වා soap ගේන්න කිව්වා. And then ගේන්න කිව්වා shampoo ගේන්න කිව්වා. Then ගේන්න කිව්වා bread and rice. And then Panadol. An exercise book. And pen. Some vegetables and lime and some potatoes. We have a list now. This what I mean, vegetable, lime, potatoes, එක ජාතිය. Exercise book, right? Maybe stationery. What divide කරගන්න ඕන ගේම තියෙන ජාතිය. මොනවද තියෙන්නේ? items තියෙනවා. items තියෙනවා මොනවද? Vegetable type items තියෙනවා. Vegetable, lime, potato. And then exercise book and pen. Stationery type item තියෙනවා. මේවට කියන්නේ stationery. And let's say here vegetable, stationery vegetable, and then Panadol. This type of item we need to get from pharmacy, right? Pharmaceutical things. These are the basic bread and rice. Appiam kekin ganna ona bakery thing kiyana bakery type. And then cosmetics. Then one product clear name. Vegetable තියෙනවා pharmacy එකට යන්න තියෙනවා. Vegetable තියෙනවා pharmacy එකකින් ගන්න තියෙනවා cosmetics තියෙනවා මේකෙන් ගන්න තියෙනවා. මේ ටිකත් වඩා දැන් product free. දැන් ඔයා මේ ගැන හිතන්නේ නැහැ. මේ ගැන. දැන් ඔයා බලනවා මේ ටිකම ගන්න පුළුවන් ඔයාට නේද? ඉතින් අර vegetable කඩේකින් ගන්න පුළුවන්. මේකෙන් ගන්න පුළුවන් pharmacy එකකින් ගන්න. එහෙම නැත්නම් ඔයා හිතා ගන්නවා මම එක එක ගන්න එක එක තැන් වලට යන්නේ නැහැ. ඔයා මොකද try කරන්නේ? කෙලින්ම යනවා. මේ ටික ගන්න. මේ ටික ගන්නවා කොහොමද යන්නේ? keys එකට යනවා. keys එකට යනවා. keys එකට යනවා කියන එක නෑ මට තියාගන්න. keys එකට යන්න ඕන කියන එක නෑ මට තියාගන්න. ඔයා මේකෙන් හිතන්නේ නැහැ. මේකෙන් හිතන්නේ නැහැ. ඔයා දුන්නේ එනකොට හිතාගෙන ඉන්නේ මොකද්ද? මට තියෙන්නේ යන ගමන් කීල්ස් එකට යන්න විතරයි. ලයිෆ් එක මාර ඊසි. ආයි දැන් තේක බොන ගමන් මේ ලිස්ට් එක පාරකට තියෙන්නේ. ඔයා බලන්න මොකද්ද? ඔයාට තියෙන්නේ කීල්ස් එකට යන්න විතරයි. ඊයපු ගමන් ඔයාට මතක් වෙන්නේ මොකද්ද? මතක් වෙනවද? හිතලා බලන්න මතක් වෙනවා. ඔයාට ෆාමසි එකට යන්න තියෙනවා. මේකට යන්න තියෙනවා vegetable ගන්න යන්න තියෙනවා vegetable යන්න තියෙනවා ඉහිපු ගම vegetable අනලයින් තියෙනවා එහෙම තමයි brain එක වැඩ කරන්නේ this is a kind of a pyramid type thought process right? That's biological psychological so then try to use this so then whatever the learning outcome whatever the subject you are learning, follow this. What do you think about it? Topic is a exam or different assurance. Pillars tonight and question. Under this, there are some words. If it is a question related to planning, these are the things. Right? If you can focus that, you can have peaceful point here. If you are mess up with all those things, what are you going to keep saying? I am not going to come to them. Either they are not done. Keep saying miss na kiya na. Either walk either in ana pati tang in no other. Keep saying they are no. Salon they kade ana. Either are no. So then try to use this. It's a kind of a advice, right? Okay. So some other area, auditing standards 610. That's about internal auditor support. Internal auditor support. Now we discussed audit expert. Now we are going to discuss internal auditor support. Can I know that the difference between internal audit and the external audit? Internal audit and external audit? Internal and external audit. Internal auditors support to the external auditors. Again, idea එකක් තියෙනවා. Internal auditors, external auditors. All auditors. කියන මම ඒක තමයි දන්න දේවල් තමයි අහන්නේ. Difference between internal audit and external audit. That's not common. අපි කරගන්න මොකද්ද මේ ඔඩිට් ඉස්සෙල්ලා සෑහට ඔඩිට් ඉස්සෙල්ලා ඔඩිට් දන්නෝ කියන්නේ දෙලවඩක් කරනවා මොනවද කියන්නේ කතා කරන්නේ නැත්නම් ඒක මම නෑනේ ඔයාලා අහන්න කියලා නිවරන් කිනෝ නෑනේ අහන්න කතා කරන්නේ ඒක කියන්නේ ඒකම බලාගෙන ඉන්නෝනේ ඔයාලා අහන්න ඕන කතා කරන්න ඕන ඒක දුන්නේ නම් කියන්නේ that's the view we have about internal and external audit. That's the perspective and the out interface by using by seeing the interface of organization. You can assume that internal auditors are not independent, but external auditors are the independent one. And then that's the basic objective of internal audit and external audit. Objective is external auditor focus to issue audit opinion about the subject matter, basically about the financial statement. But internal auditor's perspective to enhance the control efficiency in the organization, right? So you know that in the first area we discussed about control framework. Control framework, right? Control framework. In the control framework, we had that risk assessment, control environment, communication, all those aspects were there. Controls, right? So then, in organization, we should have first level of defense. Second level of defense. Third level of defense. Third level of defense to save the organization, to enhance the control efficiency. First level, second level, third level. Internal auditors represent third level of defense. The company in the third level of defense can cover internal auditors. Order. Operation level again the controls. You can check around risk compliance, IT security setting. And then make an bill and internal auditing check. We need to check the control design, implementation and operation, and we need to give recommendation to fix the control environment. That's all about internal auditing. That's the objective. So the internal auditor should be, if it is a good environment, good practice, internal auditor should be independent from the CEO. He is not a person report to CEO, right? So internal audit should report to audit committee directly, because CEO is the owner of the organization, and we are checking his decisions ultimately, his control environment. And if we are saying, if we are giving all the issues they have implemented, they're not going to escalate to the upper level. So then we are directly reporting to audit committee. Through them, we are having kind of a dotted line reporting to CEO. Means the auditor should be independent if it is a good internal audit system. Right? Internal audit is not a must. That's a company decision about good governance, right? But external audit is a must. It's a statutory requirement. So those are the basic differences between internal audit and external audit. Internal audit, internal employee, external audit, outside party. Sometimes internal audit also can be outsourced to some audit firm, right? That's about internal audit and external audit. But our focus is, once you are doing external audit, to this purpose, we can use internal auditor support. Internal auditor support. So then, what do you mean by that? To audit planning, execution and conclusion, we can use internal auditors' results, audit reports, audit planning, audit their findings, their concern can be used for their purpose. Basic thing, right? So you need to check whether they have an internal audit function. Can we use that? To use it, what are the areas need to be considered? What are the things you need to consider? The qualification of the internal audit team, competence and experience of internal auditors, and then independence of the internal auditors, whether they have separate audit protocols, audit charter, audit plan, right? Independence of the internal auditor, that's very important. And the qualification and the audit plan they are focusing on, the sample basis they are focusing on, the technology they are using, the capacity they have. Internal audit කියලා දෙන්නෙක් ඉන්නවා නමන්න. report ටිකක් මොනවද බලලා issue කරලා තියෙනවා. report කරන්න CEO ට. තේරුමක් නැහැ. So then we can clearly say that we are not planning to use internal auditor support. We need to conclude at the planning stage. So that before you are getting support from internal auditors, you need to evaluate the internal audit process, right? Structure, plan, charter, qualification, the the 5-year plan, experience. All those things should be evaluated before you are using this information for your audit process, basically planning and execution. Another thing is, as I said for the expert, after using your internal auditor's report, you can't deviate your responsibility. You can't say that this was highlighted by the internal auditor. As per the internal auditor's report, we are not comfortable with the audit opinion. As per the internal auditor's report, we are going to qualify this opinion. We can't say that. You can't deviate from your responsibility by using internal auditors report. Right? Internal audit එකේ ගොඩාක් කට්ටිය ඉන්න නිසා මම audit team එකේ කට්ටිය අඩු කරන්න ඕනේ කියලා බෑ. Is that the supporting function? Supporting function it can be used as evidence, but you can't purely depend on that. You can't deviate from your responsibility. That is all about internal auditors support. Right. Now expert done, internal auditors support done. Right. Here කියවන්න බලන්න. ඒක තමයි තේරෙන්නේ. The external auditors shall determine whether the work of the internal auditor function can be used for purpose of audit by evaluating the following. Right? The extent which internal audit function is organization status and relevant policies and procedures support for the objectivity of the internal auditors. Objectivity, right? The level of competence of the internal audit function, level of confidence. Either a the chartered accountant. Valuers the team make That's really important. Whether the internal audit function applies a systematic and disciplined approach, including quality control. Are they using proper approach for sample selection, audit planning? CEO කියනවා මේ අවුරුද්දේ මේ audit කරන්න එපා කියලා. ඒතකොට ඒ CEO ගේ plan එක නම් තමයි audit කරන්නේ. එහෙම කරනවා නම් no. They should have a proper risk assessment, and accordingly they have to decide the audit frequency. Number of audits should be decided by independent audit team, not the CEO. So then that structure should be there. Before you are using this, you need to evaluate this first. In mind. Right. That's all about internal audit. And then we have four areas: related party, going concern, and estimates. These are the three areas at the planning stage we need to focus in. At the planning stage, these three areas need to be focused. Other than that, other critical areas also need to be focused. But as a common way, I want to highlight the related party transaction. Estimates and going concern assumption are three key components need to be planned. Right? Related party, we have a separate accounting standard as well as auditing standard. That much of complexity is there. Related party transaction. Related party transaction instead of focus. What's the reason for having decided to focus on this related party transaction? Yes. So that can be used for a coordination purpose. Because related party means as a company, they are having different relationships. Now, in a business activity, once you are having that business activity, we should have that only that relationship only. Should have a real price. If you are purchasing something, the buyer and seller, the company and the seller should have that relationship only. Buyer and seller relationship. We don't have any other relationship. So then the price reflects the real value. Right? But if you are having kind of a related party transaction, so then once you are doing transaction with that party, we have different commitments. We are giving a weightage to that relationship as well. We are giving a price to that relationship. And then you know that obviously the transaction price doesn't reflect the real value. Are you agree? Why? වාගේ ඩිරෙක්ටර් කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා. ඩිරෙක්ටර්ගේ උදාහරණ වල යනවා හොටෙල් එකකට. එයා කම්පැනි එකේ. එයාට room charge එක 20,000 outside room charge එක 35,000. So then the transaction real market value 35,000, there's a 15,000 discount for that relationship. So then, real value may not be reflected in the related part transactions. So then, as an organization, that the end of the day will be impacted. So as an organization, the related parties is stakeholders, but related party is not the whole stakeholders. We have a list of stakeholders waiting there. Not only the related parties, right? So they need to address, we need to satisfy these all related parties. Tax regulation, government, employees, how do they know? Related party with the transaction. Ultimately, the company will be impacted. Because of that, we have separate guideline, accounting guideline for related party transaction as well as audit guideline. 550, SLA 550 clearly says what are the steps we need to follow for related party transaction, and the case 24 says who are the related parties, what are the things we need to disclose, how we are going to measure. Three things: identification, measurement, and disclosure. Identification, measurement, and disclosure. Those are the three areas need to be focused. Under related party. First, we need to identify, and then we need to measure that transaction, and then we need to disclose it to awareness of the stakeholders. After related party transaction cannot bad. You can do it, but all the things should be disclosed to the audience. Then make audience is that now tax department is nothing. That is not clear on further. Only guideline. Transfer pricing guideline. Tax collector. Serum revenue expenses is related party. Related party is same thing. Eking available profit data. Eking available taxable profit. Related party transaction. So arm's length pricing is what given at the time of the business setting, real development taxable profit make it. Because now when you put up the expenses, admin company, what was real hotel room started relations done. Without 35,000 room will talk either 20,000. How do they see an annual related particular discounted without all taxable profit making impact on oh, so admin number tax given. You go out and the back benchmark price make whatever tax assessment. Transfer pricing violation. So that's the point. You need to raise the concern they are having. That's a very concern, right? That's why I'm telling you, related party transaction can be done, but it should be identified, measured, and disclosed. Completeness is a must. So the identification is very difficult. So if it is a complex organization, the standard clearly says who are the related parties. Who are the related parties? Directors, CEO, and common directors, subsidiary companies, affiliate, associate, joint ventures, key family members of the directors are related parties for the organization. Right? CEO is a related party, but CFO is not a related party. CEO is a related party. CFO is not a related party. What do you mean by that? It's called key management KMP. KMP, right? KMP definition says planning, controlling, directing activities of the organization. Activities of the organization. Activities. So that is this is defined that CEO is only the related party, CFO is not. Activities mean marketing, HR, operation, all the activities of the organization. CFO only responsible directing, planning, activity, financial activity. That's the definition. But if there's a CFO acting like a CEO, can be considered as a related party. So then that type of sharpness should be there once you are having this definition. You see this? Key management person are those persons having authority and responsibility for planning, directing, controlling. This is the word. Activities of the entity. Activities of the entity. Directly or indirectly, including any director. Right? So likewise, you need to have proper understanding about the standard guideline. So then, as per that, you can decide what are the related parties. Right? If it is a government-related entity, government may be a related party. So, people's insurance, parent is people's leasing. People's leasing parent is people's bank. People's bank parent is government. So the people's insurance ultimate parent is government. So then government related expenses is a related party transaction for the people's insurance. So then case 24 clearly says if it is a government related entity, what are the guidelines we need to perform, we need to follow to identify, measure and disclose related party transactions. Not only transactions, we need to disclose transactions, account balances, whatever the commitment, contingencies and guarantees at the year end. Right? All the related transactions, disclosures, balances should be disclosed. Right? So the best way for the related party, we should have a process in the organization. Right? We need to have identified related parties. For the, to the system, we need to include, embed this information like incorporation number or ID number of this related party should be included in the system. Once we are doing a transaction, once you are putting that ID number, system itself identifies that as a related party. ඕනම හොටෙල් එකක ගිහලා ඩිරෙක්ටර් කෙනෙක්ගේ son and daughter ගිහිල්ලා checking වෙනකොටම system itself says that is a related party. So end of the day we can get a system report. ඒක delete කරන්න බෑ. So then that kind of capturing process should be there in an organization. IT controls can be developed. Right? So then as auditor, what you have to do is you need to study the process, Scott, and do the walkthrough and POC and do sample testing to plan it. And then last year, who are the related parties? What are the procedures we perform? And any changes to the structure to the organization? All those things should be evaluated. The company, the Audit company acquired them. So the Audit directors have them. So all those things should be evaluated and we should have a proper plan for related party transaction. Right? So then this is a planning task, right? So the once you are doing audit execution, we'll discuss in detail about what are the procedures how we are going to perform. So then other part is, the one is estimates. What are the estimates? Examples. Estimates. Example Kempa. Estimate example. Financial statement. Commission for what? Letter provision, silver provision, exam. RBO. Correct. 92% is a good answer. So we are using expert. Yes, that's it. We have more than 80% of the balance sheet are estimates. Tax, deferred tax. What are estimates? And then we are having biological asset valuation is estimate. Cost of PPM also estimate. Depreciation method also estimate. But depreciation model is a policy, right? Estimate change and the policy change. You have to understand. How you will change estimate. For prospectively, we need to adjust estimate change. If it's a policy change, we need to adjust to the previous balances as well. Policy change and the estimate change. You need to understand what the estimate is. So the whatever the fair value you are using, those are estimates, right? We are using evaluation model for PP and E, estimate. So then it's a companion related to insurance liability valuation. We are using investment. Fair value calculation is estimate. We are using biological asset. Evaluation of mature plantation. Evaluation of agricultural produce. Estimate. Deferred tax asset. Estimate. Tax expense also an estimate. Right? So then all the balance sheet items, 80% of the balance sheet items are. So then, as auditor, we need to focus on that. What's the focus area? The risk level of the estimate is really important. Whether it's high risk estimate, medium risk estimate, or low risk estimate. Accordingly, you need to plan your procedures. What's the process? Management focus about the estimate. Who are the people they are using to do this estimate? Are they using experts? All those things should be evaluated and plan your procedures. So then I can't say that this is the way you have to do. I can just explain the basic process. If you identify the risk level of the estimate, the process company having, and then are they using expert, and what are the people, who are the people they are using for that estimation process. That should be evaluated. Accordingly, you have to plan your audit procedures. We may have different estimates. So once we are doing execution stage, we discuss each and every estimate. But at the planning stage, what you have to do is we need to focus what are the types of estimates we have. Are we having a process in the organization? What's the risk level? And then what are the people involved in this estimating process? And how they are going to evaluate past their exist in the general election and how they manage these assumptions and judgment they are using for the estimate calculation. That's really important. As auditor, those are the things we need to focus. And finally, all the things I discussed, this is important. There may be high, medium, or low risk estimates. But we should plan and perform audit procedures according to the risk level. This is very important, right? Yes. And finally, this going concern is assumption, right? All the companies, most of the companies, they are using this assumption because they are preparing financial statement. Going concern assumption. Going concern assumption. So then as auditor, what you have to do? We need to evaluate going concern assumption. We need to evaluate whether they have done appropriate assumption to give the financial statement. Because of going concern assumption, we are having long-term liability, short-term liability, long-term asset, short-term asset, and current asset. Likewise, going concern is kind of a concept, assumption we are using for financial reporting perspective. It means foreseeable future, this company may continue. That assumption should be there. To that assumption, there may be challenges, going concern issues. 570 is auditing standard. 570. Yeah. Prepare 570 auditing and accounting estimate that disclosed. Auditing, accounting estimate and disclosed. It's a valid. 570 standard bigger. Accounting estimate. මේක select කරගන්න. 570 going concern contents. Going concern තමයි 570 කියන්නේ standard එක. මේ වචනේ වැරදි. Going concern කියන්නේ separate auditing standard එකක් තියෙනවා. 570 කියන්නේ accounting estimate and related disclosures කියන separate එකක් තියෙනවා. Right? 570 auditing standard එක. Accordingly, we discuss about what are the going concern indications. So the auditors should evaluate that first. Once you are doing audit execution, we can do that procedures. At the planning stage, you need to focus about, according to the evidence we have, we need to evaluate whether there is any indication to impact on the going concern ability of the organization. That's the thing we need to evaluate at the planning stage. When our planning stage, we go down to go through discussion, initial discussion, website we go through the regulator number, and then field visit email. So you have a basic understanding, right, about the organization. So then accordingly you need to evaluate that. Is there any impact to the going concern? Is there any indication which impact the organization? One legally make a prohibited one company continuously lost the one company you had only 3 suppliers, 2 were bankrupt, only one supplier, there's a going concern issue. So then this company highly depend on the imported inputs. So then exchange rate more than 350. Now they are in a serious trouble. So there's a going concern issue. Going concern indication. There are a list of going concern indication in the 570 standard. Go through them. Different indications which will impact the going concern of the organization. That's only what you have to do. At the planning stage, you need to check whether is there any possibility to this scenarios which will impact to the company going concern. Accordingly, you need to plan your audit procedures. You can talk to your regulator and then you can read board minutes and basic company nature. All those things can be checked. Right? Profitability, financial position, customer orders, number of cancellation, number of complaints, legal matters, all those things can be evaluated. After that, you need to conclude that whether what you are going to do, what are the responses you are going to do. And then, after completing your audit procedures, still management is unable to give any remediation action or mitigating action for the going concern issue. What you have to do is, you have to highlight, emphasize in the audit opinion. That's the conclusion stage. Planning, execution, and conclusion. So then if there's a going concern issue, it can be highlighted as an audit modification at the planning conclusion stage. The planning stage, my request is what? You need to focus on that. That's the requirement. And execution stage, we will discuss what other procedures you can follow. So then, as I mentioned, once you are planning your audit, you need to focus about audit estimates, going concern assumption, as well as related party transaction. Those may be key areas you need to focus. Plus revenue recognition, and then IT related controls. Likewise, you can decide what are the concern areas. So that's all about audit planning and conclusion. Audit planning and risk assessment. So we discussed all the areas, right? So this is the content. Check that we have covered more 100%. You can question if you have missed anything. As is the risk of material misstatement using risk assessment procedure, there's a material planning and performing, responsible for the procedures, yes. Apply risk assessment procedure to identify risk relation to related party transaction, going concern, accounting estimate, fair value measurement. Fair value measurement we did discuss, but fair value measurement then again estimate. Fair value. Right? Discuss use of experts, internal auditors in the audit of financial statement. Explain consideration of compliance with laws and regulations during the audit of financial statement. Explain consideration of compliance with laws and regulations. Have you discussed this? Yes. Under general audit procedures. General audit procedures, we discuss this. Plus, understand the business. We discuss understanding the business. At that stage, what we have to do is we need to identify the company structure, company outcome, product portfolio, plus legal and regulatory requirements. We already discussed that. Right? Once you are doing audit, so these are the areas we need to focus at the planning stage. Right? So the next week, early morning, we'll wrap up this. What are the areas focus and summarize, and we'll finish planning and risk assessment. Right? So then next week onwards we are doing execution. It will go like 5 lectures. Right? Execution done, we are moving to conclusion. That's about it. Thank you. 12 minutes spend කරගත්තානේ. දැන් අපි පටන් ගත්තේ කියන විදිහට බලන්න ඕනේ ඒකට. ඒකට ඒක සෙට් ඔෆ් කරගන්න නේ. අපි පටන් ගත්ත වෙලාවට අපි last week paper එක discuss කරා. නේද? assignment එකක් කරානේ activity මතකද දැන්? ඒකේ සම්පූර්ණ එකම කතා කරා අපි one by one. interval පටන් අරගෙන one by one 20 lessons කතා කරා. ඔයාලට activity එකද කියලා හරි tag දුන්නා. හරි ගැටේ. නේද? I will send another assignment today, right? So then review another 3-4 days time. You can 2 days maybe not, no? Very easy, not easy. Some multiple choice questions. So then you can attempt it, and I will share with you the assignment.